Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Patrice Davis, the host of the Age Has No Limit podcast. And I'm so happy to have with us here my guest, Angela Mashelle. I would love to introduce Angela and have her add anything else that she'd like to share with our listeners. So, Angela Mashelle is a wife, mother, grandmother, friend, and child of Jesus Christ. She is also a nurse of 27 years and a YouTuber. Many of you may have seen Angela. I know I learned about Angela watching her YouTube videos, trying to get back to my little fashion sense that I had before I became a mother. But she is a YouTuber who creates beauty, fashion, and lifestyle content specifically for women over 40. So Angela teaches women how to express themselves through fashion, style, and everyday looks. Her passion is to inspire ladies of all ages, but specifically those of a certain age, to represent themselves with dignity and style. I love that. And to look and feel their best. She wants to uplift, encourage, and show them that style isn't something you have to let go of as you age. And that is just it's certainly in line with what we're trying to do here at the Age Has No Limit podcast. Angela, is there anything else you'd like to share with us in terms of an overview of who you are and what you do?
No, I think you said it succinctly. I think everything that you said was exactly how I feel. I love fashion. I love women, and I
Mm-hmm.
want us to look as great as we feel on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, as you all know, the Age Has No Limit podcast, we also, this is something that we try to promote, making sure that as we age, that we, don't forget ourselves, or maybe there is a part of us that we want to forget. And there's a renewal, so to speak. When I say renew, a forget, just making sure that we always feel inspired and have the courage to do what we want and certainly to express ourselves the way either we used to or we now want to because of this new redesign or renewal of who we are. Welcome to the Age Has No Limit podcast. Please stay with us as we learn a little bit more about Angela Mashelle. Thanks again, Angela. It's the Age Has No Limit podcast. We're here to show and prove that your age shouldn't prevent you from designing and living the life you want. I'm your host, Patrice Davis. Let's get started. So, Angela, if you can tell us a little bit about, where you're from.
I'm originally from North Carolina. We're
Mm-hmm.
living in Texas right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in South Carolina, raised in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Undergrad, grad school, and a recent transplant to Texas from Saudi Arabia. I know that
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a crazy story, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what the story is. But yes, I'm a Southern girl.
Okay, okay. And again, as a person who does still actually watch your channel, I knew about the transition, and that was another reason why I wanted to reach out because you've made some, significant changes in your life, and not just in terms of where you lived, but in terms of, again, getting the courage to put yourself out there, so to speak, and share, your passion, which is of course fashion and lifestyle. So I'd like to know though a little bit more about what you did early in your career.
I've been a nurse for, I guess it's 27 years now. I love nursing. I started
Mm-hmm.
out as a nursing assistant,
Mm-hmm.
um, and was inspired by a couple of nurses that I saw at the nursing home when I was working. I was like, if they can, it's amazing because I was like, if there was one nurse in particular. Her name was Miss Henry. If Miss
Mm-hmm.
Henry can go to nursing school, certainly I can. And
Mm-hmm.
I was at a point in my life where I was exhausted and I was tired. I was going home every day and my
Mm-hmm.
clothes and my pants and my shoes were soaking wet from pushing patients in the shower and giving them a shower. And I told my daughter's father at the time that I think I'm going to nursing school. Then I was just frustrated that day.
Mm-hmm.
And he remembered it and he kept pushing me. I thought you said you're going to go. I thought you said you're going to go. Okay, okay. So I went fill the application out to go to nursing school just to get him off my back to leave me alone. And lo and behold, I got the admission letter
Mm-hmm.
in the mail, and I was shocked because my mother didn't go to college. I didn't have anyone close to me that gone to college. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was a little struggle at first. And
Mm-hmm.
I had my daughter was 2 when I started nursing school. So I
Mm-hmm.
had a baby. So I didn't get college experience for 4
Mm-hmm.
years. I went to school, I went to work, I went home. No no basketball game, no football game, nothing at school. So, and I made honor roll, graduated with honors, and life changed for the better for certain.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad you were inspired by, and tell me the name of the person who inspired you again.
Miss Henry.
Yes, I'm so glad that you saw that Miss Henry, was she'd been been a nurse, and then you basically were inspired by her to enter the your nursing career. Now, when you were growing up, what career aspirations did you have?
It's funny because I remember my daughter was in high school and people were asking her what she wanted to do later on. And I thought about it. I went through my entire elementary, middle, high school with no one ever asking me that question. So and there was no one that I really looked up to who had a career that I wanted to get into. So I had no clue. I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew is I needed to work to take care of myself. And as I got a little bit older, and once I had my daughter, I was like, I have to do something better. I have to make life better for myself and definitely for my child. So I was never asked. I had no clue what I wanted to do in life, but I've always been a caregiver. I'm the oldest daughter, so I took care of my sister and my brother. I was the latchkey children. I was 12 years old, staying at home for hours while my mother worked, taking care of my siblings and cooking and cleaning. I'm that generation.
Yeah.
And there was an older lady that lived across the street. And I remember mother used to, I would spend the night with her. Sometimes mother would send me over there to spend the night with her and help her clean and do some things with her. So I've always been a caregiver. And so I guess it's just in me. And I do miss hands-on patient care. And I do like the elderly patients more than anyone else. So I've always been that. That's always been in me. So I think that's why I love nursing so much.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad that you pointed that out. One of my previous guests was also saying that she's always been a caregiver, loves to take care of people. And now that she's a different stage in her life, she's actually considering going to nursing school. So I think that once it's in you, right? So, it's interesting you said that, because one of the questions that I typically like to ask our guests is, what was it, was your career choice influenced by what others wanted? But it was interesting that you said you didn't really get a chance to think about what career you wanted. And it wasn't until you had your daughter that you decided that, what, I need to figure out what my next step is going to be. I have a similar experience when I was actually in college, but still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had my son, and that's when I was like, okay, it's time for me to get serious. And I, very, very soon after he was born, I did what I needed to do and graduated as soon as I could. So one of the things that I really enjoy about your channel, of course, is the fashion, the relatability, which I think I'm sure you've probably heard that from a number of people. Your relationship with the producer, and of course, and for those of you who may not be aware, the producer, of course, is her husband, and your wisdom. I remember watching one of your episodes where you talked. It was one of the first episodes, I think, where you didn't talk about fashion. You were talking about women and our roles in relationships. And I was really, really inspired with what you had to say. I don't remember the name of what particular episode that was. Tell us why you decided to launch the YouTube channel.
Well, when I started my YouTube channel, I was living in Saudi Arabia. So when I hit in my 40s, my mid 40s, as I told you before, I took care of my sister and my brother with of course, my mother did. While she was at work, I took care of them. And I had my baby early. I was 19 when I had her. And I think when I hit my early 40s, I was exhausted. I was tired, kind of tired of taking care. My cup was empty.
Yeah.
And there was nothing filling my cup. I was pretty much in a relationship that was not healthy for me. And I was exhausted just all around. And I needed a big change. And so I was like, I need to get away. The only way I'm going to get a change and do better and get a breath of fresh air is if I get away, and I need to get away. And so I started researching nursing jobs out of the country, and saw an application for nursing jobs in Saudi Arabia. And I was like, I've only been out of the country once. And I know most people would be afraid. I don't know much about the country. And when I Googled back then, now you can find a lot of information about it. But back then there wasn't that much information about it. And I was like, well, I'll try it. I prayed about it. I was like, Lord, if filled out the application, everything went through, did all the tests, and I was like, Lord, if this is not for me, because I trust you, I know you're not going to send me somewhere I shouldn't go. If this is not for me, then let me know. I'm going to wait to hear from you. I didn't hear anything that said, don't go, don't stay, don't go. And so I was like, I'm leaving. And I think I landed in Saudi in January the 16th. And I was so afraid. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to see people that look like me. I don't know who's there. And the lady that met me at the airport looks like she could be my big sister. Okay. So I was so happy to see her. I mean, she had short hair just like mine, but she had a dyed blonde. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. And I prayed, the whole time I was there, and I could tell there were people praying for me, covering me. I felt so covered. I was there for 5.5 years. I was only supposed to be there for 2, but and I would have come home after 2 had I not met my husband at a women's event. It was an event supporting women and rewarding them for the good jobs that they do. And I met him there. And I mean, we've been inseparable ever since. And so we decided we'd stay there together and kind of build our life. And it was fantastic because, the country is very sheltered, didn't have a lot of things that the US has. And you have to be, they're very specific about relationships and interacting with individuals, individuals, especially if you're not married. And so we were able to, all of our family was at home, and we were able to spend quality time together consistently and get to learn one another very, very fast. And it was fantastic. It really, really was. Okay. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a very interesting story. That reminds me of, that really does remind me of when, just the few times that I've actually traveled and been in those kinds of environments where you're not sure how to move, and I can certainly understand that because you're living there. That's a completely different scenario.
It really is.
So tell me about the fears that you actually had to overcome to actually start recording videos and showing up, because when you put yourself out there, people have to understand you're giving away, I wouldn't say giving away, there's an energy exchange. And so you have to show up and be ready to, talk about fashion, talk about all the different things you talk about on your show. So what were the fears that you think you had to overcome?
I think for me, I was at a point where like ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know to be scared. I didn't know that I was going to be judged. We started the channel. I was on Google one day on YouTube looking for fashion, somebody, around my age doing fashion. And there were very, very few. I mean, there were under 10 women that were doing fashion. And if there were 10, and I think there were only like 2 that kind of resonated with my style, my sense of fashion. And I feel like my sense of fashion is a little different from most women that are my age. And I think it's because I have a young daughter. She's 33, and I have lots of nieces, and I've been around young people a lot. So my sense of style is a little bit different. It's a little more youthful than the average 50-something-year-old woman. I feel, I could be wrong. But and I didn't see that. And so, and I've always loved fashion. Like my mother loved fashion, my grandmother loved fashion. My grandmother would have the purse and the hat and that was my grandmother's name was Tenny Ruth. She's no longer with us, but her sense of style was amazing. And I told my husband, I was like, I don't see what I'm looking for. And I think I could start a YouTube channel. Just had no clue. I think I could start a YouTube channel. He was like, I believe in you. Yes, you can. So he's sitting over here watching me. Yes, you can do it, honey. And so we got together, and I said, okay, we decided he would research the management aspect of it, the business aspect of it, because it is a business.
Yes, it certainly
is. I researched the content creator aspect of it. And then we researched for about 9 months equipment that we needed. We were lucky that we didn't have to start off with an iPhone. Like he researched all the equipment, microphones, lighting, camera equipment. We started off with a minimum of maybe $12,000 worth of equipment, honey. Yeah. Instead of just an iPhone. And I researched how the ladies create their content, what they look like, followed probably like 10 content creators just to get an idea of what looks best, how to sit in front of the camera and that. And we just, about 9 months later, we're going to do it. We did our first video. It took us the entire day. Yeah. Like 8 hours to shoot the video. And it took him, how long did it take you to? 2 weeks to edit the video.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
can shoot a video in an hour and a half. It's still,
Hmm.
if I'm changing clothes. If I'm not
Yeah.
changing clothes, I can do a video in 30 minutes or less.
Hmm.
And he can edit a video in 2 hours.
Mm.
I've just recently, after three years and 8 months, started
Hmm.
editing my own videos. So I've been
Hmm.
editing now for maybe 3 months. He
Hmm.
taught me how to edit. I'm not on the system that he uses is a little more complicated for me. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll get to it, but
Yeah.
I've just, so he's edited all of my videos for
Hmm.
over 3.5 years. So I just started. So now I can edit a video. It takes me about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. He's a lot
Wow.
quicker than I am. But yeah, we started together, and that's how it all came together. And I didn't know to be
Hmm.
scared. I didn't know. I did know that I didn't want to put too much personal information
Yeah.
out. Like,
Yeah.
no one knew that I was living in Saudi Arabia for the first 2 years that I did
Yeah.
my videos.
Yeah.
No one knew. And I only told people, I think the last video I made right before I had already purchased my tickets, right
Yeah.
before I left the country.
Hmm.
I think I told everyone I was living in Saudi Arabia. And then I maybe talked about it a little bit once I got here. But
Yeah.
I didn't know what to be afraid of. And this is me all the time. This is my energy level. So,
Yeah.
but I used to stutter like you. It was like I hate public speaking,
Yeah.
believe it or not. And it felt like I was on stage.
Yeah.
And so my husband would cut it. I would have to do take 10. Oh, remember that, honey? We had the take one, take two.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that when he started editing the videos, he'd know where to start again. It was amazing. But now I don't make quite as many mistakes, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was nervous. I was very, very nervous. Now
Mhm.
I'm not nervous at all when I get in front of the camera.
Well, it's so interesting you said that. There are a couple of things I wanted to pick back up on. Number one, there are all these YouTubers out there that are saying, "Hey, you can start with just with your iPhone, and maybe one of those inexpensive ring lights, and make it happen." So it's, first of all, because you're actually doing. Your YouTube channel is about fashion. You had to make sure that you all were on point about the lighting. You're doing full body shots, right? You're actually you actually had to, of course, have a set, so to speak. I mean, I know you have what's behind you now, but I know that you also have, some of the outfits that are on, I guess the racks. I mean, so there's a whole setup, and I know that's not the same as the equipment per se, but I'm realizing, when I record, for example, this video podcast, I need my microphone, my laptop, and a few other things, but because it's a full body experience, I'm realizing you can't go cheap on on the equipment. You have to go out. And I do remember even your intros, I was like, she must be working with a professional, because your intros have changed.
My
So the
husband's smiling so hard. He's
Yes.
done all of those.
Yes, the intros were really, really great. So tell him he's doing a fantastic job. And and obviously he is, and both of you are doing a fantastic job, because your listenership has gone up. And I think you have about how many subscribers now?
I think 135,000.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, so this is how I'm a true viewer. I didn't just do this to prepare for my talk with Angela. Number one, I remember when you did your $100,000 video. 100,000 subscribers video, and you were waiting for that one last one to come in to get to 100,000. I do also remember the one where you talked a bit about, your some of your trunks. I believe some of your clothes or things were left behind as you were making the transition to Texas, where you are now. So so it's the reason I'm bringing all of this up is for two things. Number one, Angela basically, because had the courage. Of course, a lot of it was because she has a strong relationship with God, but she had the courage to, number one, move to another country, stay in that country for a number of years, get as acclimated as she can. Of course, had the courage to be open to a relationship while she was there, and then, of course, that relationship has blossomed into what she has now, and then, of course, make another transition back to the States. And in that transition, it already decided to launch a YouTube channel. So all of these changes are, for some people who are very afraid of change, and I'm sure you're aware of that, it's just really great for us to bring these stories to the forefront so people understand that they too can, use faith to actually make a significant change in their lives, and you've actually done that. So I want to go back though and learn a little bit about what it took to actually get acclimated to your life in Saudi Arabia. What were some of the things that it took you some time to get used to?
Ooh, living in Saudi. What was the first of all, it was the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I
Mm-hmm.
got there in January.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that it's in the desert. And I'm from North Carolina, which we get the 4 seasons, and
Mm-hmm.
if it gets to 100 degrees, that's a hot, hot day.
Mm-hmm.
Like it got up to like 115,
Mm-hmm.
zero humidity.
Wow.
It's unbelievably
Yeah.
hot
Yeah.
when it's hot. And of course it's a Muslim country, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a Muslim country, like they're all about
Mm-hmm.
um their religion,
Mm-hmm.
and like there are no churches
Mm-hmm.
there. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the South. I go to church every Sunday. There's a church on every corner. So that was difficult. But what was really
Mm-hmm.
nice though, there was a whole community of expats
Yeah.
there. So
Mm-hmm.
you never got lonely. You always had someone you could talk to, someone you
Mm-hmm.
saw every single day,
Mm-hmm.
friends in the hospital. Like most of the people in Saudi Arabia, I think it's about 75-80% are expats.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then lots of Americans and lots of people from Canada and the UK. So there were people that were really nice there. And so I had to get used to the heat. I had to
Mm-hmm.
get used to not having my foods. Like
Yeah.
I could just go to the grocery store and get some Fruit Loops.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first thing that was shocking to me was I went to
Mm-hmm.
the grocery store to went to the grocery store and I saw the chicken. I was
Yeah.
like, something is wrong with this chicken. I
Yeah.
am not going to
Yeah.
eat this. The chicken was really small, really
Yeah.
small. I was like, something's wrong with this chicken. And then I realized a few days later, no, there's something wrong with our
Our
chicken.
chicken. Yes.
Chicken is full of antibiotics and full of growth
Uh,
hormones. No,
yes.
this chicken is
Yes.
natural. This chicken is really
Exactly.
good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, got used to that, and the traffic is like downtown LA or Atlanta traffic, like at noon
Mm-hmm.
to the 10th power.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and when I first got, and then we had to wear abayas, which looked
Mm-hmm.
like choir robes to me.
Yeah.
We had to
Yeah.
wear abayas, but while we were there, the crown prince said expats don't have to wear abayas anymore, so we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to wear abayas anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first 2 to 3 years, women weren't allowed to drive while I was there. They weren't allowed to
Mm-hmm.
drive when I arrived. So to get used to riding with a driver in the back of the car, and they were all very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he said we could get our driver's license, I was like one of the first people in line to get mine. So to get
Yes.
used to
Mm-hmm.
driving in that sort of traffic, not
Mm-hmm.
driving in that sort of traffic. It was the
Mm-hmm.
food, the abaya, the heat,
Mm-hmm.
and just not get used to not having my friends and family right there with
Mm-hmm.
me. And I could talk to them, but
Mm-hmm.
the time zones were so different.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
8 to 9 hours ahead of them. And
Yeah.
so I would have to stay up really late to talk to someone in the
Mm-hmm.
morning or in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, it was the culture, when you like take a cruise and you stop in the country for a
Yeah.
few hours and eat the food. And that's completely different than living
Living
and
it. Yes.
immersing yourself into a culture and getting used to the
Mm-hmm.
cultural norms, and also realizing that the way that we do it in America is not necessarily always the best way that things can be
Absolutely.
done. There are
Absolutely.
some things that we do a lot better, and there are some
Yes.
things that they do a lot better. They've
Mm-hmm.
really, really put a huge emphasis on family and taking
Mm-hmm.
care of family,
Yeah.
and not rushing. And
Yeah.
we're so go, 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 go. And no, in Saudi, they are not go, go, go.
Yeah.
We're going to sashay down this hall. We're going to take our time. Why are you in a rush? It'll get done when it gets done. And no,
Yeah.
we're like, it needs to be done by noon. No, that is not how they function. And it's
Yeah.
very, very challenging for
Mm-hmm.
someone from the US to get accustomed to
Yeah.
that pace of
Yeah.
thing. And we
Yeah.
see it in America, we would say, oh, they're lazy, they're just slow. But
Mm-mm.
they say, why are you so anxious? All y'all have anxiety issues.
Yes.
Slow down, take your
Yes.
time. Spend time
Exactly.
with family.
Mm-hmm.
Spend time with family is everything. They're
Mm-hmm.
all, and it was what I saw that was really, really nice. That it was completely different from in the US, because again, women couldn't drive. They just were allowed to start driving while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of men bringing
Mm-hmm.
their parents to
Mm.
the hospital for their appointments. So it was very, very
Oh,
common. It was
yeah.
more uncommon to see women bringing their parents to
Yeah.
the hospital for appointments. It was very, very common
Mm-hmm.
to see men, their
Mhm.
sons, bringing their mother and bringing their fathers to their
Mhm.
appointments. And it would always make me smile. So it
Yeah.
was a lot of the customs that they have there. And
Mm-hmm.
those are the main things that I could think of that I had to get accustomed to while living there.
First of all, you had a very unique perspective because you worked in the hospital. So you were able to see that. Not many people can actually point to that as one of the distinct differences between Saudi Arabia and the United States, the fact that because the men were the ones that were allowed to drive when they needed to take their elderly parents or someone else to the hospital, it was going to be the men that do that. And in other societies, many other societies, it's going to be primarily the woman, because again, because of our caregiving tradition and some of the things that are inherent in the way that we are. So that's very, very interesting. I think one of the things that I also find really interesting is that you were actually there when women were allowed to actually to get driver's license. I remember hearing about that on the news. I remember some of um the things actually that was happening in the country that led to women finally having the right to do that, and just all of the media coverage of that. So it's interesting hearing you speak about it and knowing that you were actually there in the middle of that change. So that's actually, I appreciate that. The final point I want to make is about the food. A lot of people who haven't traveled internationally, they don't realize the how how different American food is from others. For those of you who are listening or watching us on YouTube, there are many, many countries around the world that won't accept American food
Yes.
because they are aware of all of the chemicals and hormones that we put in the food. So it's interesting that she brought up, she saw this tiny chicken, not realizing that, that it wasn't a young chicken. It wasn't anything wrong with it. It's, probably the standard size for a chicken. So it's a very, I love that story. Love that explanation. Thank you so much. So I remember when, you also mentioned in one of your episodes that some of your coworkers used to comment on your fashion sense.
Mhm.
And they always talk about your impeccable style. Did you know before that happened that beauty and fashion were, you did mention earlier that beauty and fashion were topics that you wanted to actually explore further through, of course, a YouTube channel. Obviously, you explored it through the way you carried yourself, but any inkling at that time that, hey, maybe I can do something with this?
It's interesting that you asked me this because I have some really close friends. One of my really close friends named
Mhm.
Sheila. I've
Mhm.
always loved fashion. And Sheila would and I forgot all about this until she reminded me,
Mhm.
Angela.
Mhm.
And she would, I don't know, she would have somewhere to go. I don't know what to wear.
Mhm.
And she said, and I remembered what she told me, that I would say, well, just give me some money, I'll go shopping for you. And
Mhm.
she said every time I would get an outfit for her, she would get so many compliments on her outfit. And then I had
Mhm.
another really close friend named Paula. Paula hates shopping. She hates
Mhm.
the mall, any of. And like Christmas, she'd give me a list and she'd give me the money and I do all her Christmas shopping for her.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
was like I was probably need to get these shoes and get this purse and get this and get this. But because I was so nursing, I got
Mhm.
my undergrad and my graduate degree in nursing. It
Mhm.
did never dawned on me that I could
Mhm.
even take a course change and
Yeah.
do something different. I was just, I've all this nursing was all I knew. This is how I
Mhm.
make my money. This is how I took care of myself, took care of my daughter, my mother, just it never dawned on me to do
Mhm.
anything else. And Sheila said that I used to say, oh, I wish I could be um a personal stylist.
Mhm.
I don't remember saying that, but she said, I just said, oh, I would love to be a personal stylist. But
Mhm.
I probably said it, but the thought never went to maybe I should pursue this because I
Mhm.
was just so nursing. This is how I make my money. This is what I know how to do. And
Mhm.
this is, but I've always loved fashion though.
Mhm. And it's and one of the things that is so interesting that even for me, so when people probably wouldn't realize, understand, or even believe me that when I was younger, again, before children, and I was, took a lot of risks, in terms of fashion.
Mhm.
Not so much now. Between children and being in corporate, it kind of just dampened that. But I'm
Oh,
trying to get
yes.
back there. That's why I was watching Angela's channel, and that's why I recommend that you all check out Angela's channel. But yeah, so what I'm currently doing, which is unfortunate, but I'm sure a lot of women are probably doing this. I'm watching your channel, but I'm going through a certain app and I'm looking through and trying to find outfit ideas because that muscle is just not being, used as much, the
Mhm.
creative, muscle. So thank you for what you're doing with your channel. It really, really,
You're
really is
welcome.
helping a lot of us. But that makes me think about the fact that now that you have 134,000 subscribers, at least as of when I was getting prepared for our session, what do you find the most fulfilling, right? Now that you have all these subscribers, is it still the fashion? What else is there that you think it makes it fulfilling for you?
Because I love doing this, it doesn't feel like a job to me.
Mhm.
What makes it fulfilling is when I see people in public, and every single time I'm still shocked. I am
Mhm.
still
Mhm.
surprised
Mhm.
when somebody recognizes me, and someone just recognized me. I just came home from California. I was at a YouTube event.
Mhm.
Um, and the goodie bag, it'll be on Sunday's video. The goodie bag they gave us is a giant duffel bag. So I
Yeah.
had called my husband because I was flying out the next morning. I have to go back to the hotel, drop this bag off, and I had to go
Mhm.
buy a suitcase.
Mm.
Because I don't have any. It was huge. It
Yeah.
filled up the suit, one whole side of the large suitcase. And
Mhm.
as I was in the TJ Maxx in California, in Santa Monica, and this woman said, she was like, is that is you, that is you. And this just made me smile. So when I see people in person that
Mhm.
recognize me, and then when I get the comments,
Mhm.
and I try to read as many as I can. When I was a lot smaller, I could
Mhm.
read all of the comments, like
Mhm.
I could read them all. But now
Mhm.
I get so many that I can't read them all because I have to go create the next video.
Mhm.
But when I read the comments and I get the feedback that what I do makes the difference. Now,
Mhm.
I'm dressing better. I feel better.
Mm.
People are telling me that I look better
Mhm.
based on why I'm dressing.
Mhm.
That's what inspires me now and keeps me motivated. I
Mhm.
really enjoy that now.
Okay. So, but your life has changed, over the last few years as a result of the YouTube channel and probably in other ways as well. Have there been any mindset or tactical shifts along the way for you?
The I've had to go from working for someone else,
Mhm.
and even though I was in a leadership role and then case management role, to
Mhm.
working for myself,
Mhm.
like I am the brand, and
Mhm.
also making certain that I represent myself well,
Mhm.
monitoring kind of, sometimes as a human being, the mouth can get a little slick.
Yeah.
Um, and have to monitoring that and
Mhm.
making sure I respond to comments appropriately, especially
Mhm.
comments that are negative. I try to not respond to them anymore. At
Mhm.
first, they would really get to me, and I
Yeah.
would start replying back, and my husband would go, no, 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 no,
Mhm.
no, 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 don't do that. So the mind shift to I'm working for myself. This is my brand. How can
Mhm.
I make this Angela Mashelle thing better? Not
Yeah.
bigger, but better. If it's better, it's going to get bigger. So the
Yeah.
focus is on making certain that it's better. And what do I need to grow? And how can I give the viewers or the subscribers more of what they're looking for, more of what their need? And so
Mhm.
that's kind of been my mindset. And also taking care of myself, make sure
Mhm.
I take care of me. And for me, taking care of me means spending time with family. So I'm
Mhm.
able to, as a YouTuber or a content creator, I'm able to set aside time
Mhm.
or to take or just do things on the whim.
Yeah.
Unlike if you're in a 9 to 5, so I can spend more time with my daughter and my
Mhm.
grandchildren and my husband.
Yeah.
But I'm really focused on what can I do to benefit the ladies that are watching me.
Yeah, yeah, that when you focus on what the others get, the value that they get from you, that means that you're always going to be inspired and I wouldn't say all, but it helps to kind of keep you motivated because it's not just about you and what you present, it's about what you're presenting and how it helps others. And so that's always a good kind of oil to kind of keep it going. So, what has been the great highlight in your life since you took the leap to do the unusual and launch an actual YouTube channel?
As far as YouTube is concerned,
Yes. Mhm.
being invited to, and I have only been to, I went to Hanifa's fashion. I was invited last year. That was the first thing I had ever been invited to. It was
Mhm.
mind blowing because I was
Mhm.
working with YouTube then, and my
Mhm.
husband was able to go, and we were able
Mhm.
to go behind the scenes
Mhm.
and see the ladies getting their makeup done and film all that. And
Mhm.
then I got invited again this year. I went
Mhm.
to her first bridal show Sunday in
Mhm.
Virginia, and then I've been to YouTube twice. So it's just left this YouTube event. I
Mhm.
told my husband the YouTube event that I went to
Mhm.
on what's the day? On Wednesday.
Mhm.
My days got mixed up. On Wednesday was the best that I've been to so
Mhm.
far. I was
Mhm.
able to, because I'm an introvert by nature, believe it or
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
And so I was, I stepped out of my comfort zone a little bit,
Mhm.
and was talking to people and introducing myself, and everyone that I met that I see on YouTube are just as genuine and kind in person as I see. And I was so amazed by that. And I was able to get some contacts so that I can bounce ideas off of other creators. And one of the biggest issues in content creation is pricing. Nobody talks about, we don't talk about salaries. No one talks about how much they're getting paid from a brand. So you don't know what to charge, what the fee should be. And so I was able to get some contacts, some ladies that are kind of have the same amount of subscribers, some a little less, some a lot more, but we all agreed that we're going to converse with one another to talk about pricing so that we're all being paid fairly.
Absolutely. Making sure there's some parity in the way that that content creators are being compensated for their time. And one of the things I want to emphasize for all of you watching, of course, is that having a YouTube channel, content creation is indeed a business. And so, you've got to make decisions about, what you can do. What is the product? The product is the person, the product is the channel. And then what can you get for that product? So I'm so glad that you kind of brought us back to that. So I think, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think what a lot of subscribers don't, because I'm always, not always, but I'm talking about products. I collaborate with different brands on like, but what people don't realize probably is that I say no probably 90% of the time, because if it's a product, like I recently got asked about some skincare products, and I felt like, first of all, they were very expensive. I was like, would I personally purchase this if it weren't given to me? And my answer was no. Am I going to pay $90 for some moisturizer when there's a great moisturizer that I can get for $25? So I told them, they were going to pay me a nice fee. But I have to be genuine in who I am. I can't make a recommendation for something that I'm not going to wear myself. The product looked great, but you could get the product at a much cheaper price. So I had to say no. So I say no a lot, lot. Yeah. If it's not something that's going to benefit the ladies that are watching, or something that I don't think they're going to get value from, then no is always my answer.
Well, and I think that goes back to the relatability that I said, that I think, at least I pick up. I'm not sure about others, but one of the things that I enjoy about watching your channel, again, is that relatability. Now, there, of course, may be people that watch your channel who can relate to a $90 tube of moisturizer, but you are going based on what feels right and authentic for you. And people can feel and sense that authenticity. And I'm almost certain that's probably a part of the reason why your channel has done so well, is because of not just the fashion, right, but the fact that you're relatable, you're authentic. I personally like to see, I guess what you call them, the spoofs, or the things when you guys mess up, you kind of add that at the end. I really, really enjoy that, because it reminds people that this is, you're presenting something to them, and there are mistakes that are made, and even all of that humanizes you. So again, I appreciate what you do, and so do many, many other people. So final two questions for you. What does an age has no limit life look like for you?
That looks like living my life to the fullest, making certain that my priorities are my focus. First of all, I'm a Christian, and I love the Lord. But second of all, making certain that my husband is taken care of. He comes next. After him, it used to be my daughter, but now it's my grandchildren. And so making sure my priorities are taken care of, and I make time for them and make sure they're taken care of, and my children that I love, and then making certain that I take care of myself and enjoying my life till the fullest. I don't want to be sitting down in the chair. I'm 53, but 53 today is not the 53 of yesterday. No. We're 53 today is like 38 yesterday. And so I want to get out. I want to explore. I want to experience the best that God has to offer for me, because I only get this one life.
Exactly.
Spending time with my family is very, very important for me. And my health is very, very important for me. I like to feel physically healthy. So I like to be out and about and doing things. And that's what age has no limit. Like traveling, I want to travel. I want to try foods that I've never tasted. I've gotten out of the box of, oh, that didn't smell good, but My husband like, honey, you eat chitlins. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I would try. So I go, this experience in life means I need to try foods from different, living in Saudi taught me that as well. Try these different foods. It may not look good, but that's just the way it looks. You should still try it. It's just living and experiencing and going with the flow. I know because I've aged now that life is not going to always be, even keel. Go with the flow when things are not going well. Such is life. This moment is meant to teach me a lesson. So what is the lesson to learn from this moment where I'm crying and I'm not feeling good? Okay. And know that it's going to get better.
Yes. Yes.
That's what living life and ages, limited as life looks like to me.
Absolutely. Thank you. And so do you have a bucket list? And that's the final question for you. Do you have a bucket list? And are you okay with sharing one or two things on your bucket list? Other than you mentioned travel and tasting new foods.
The travel is my biggest thing because we were living in South. We used to get 53 vacation days a year.
You said 53. You said 53?
53.
Lord.
And every year the king will come out and give us a few extra vacation days. And unlike the US, when the king says whatever is going to happen, it happens the next day. Whenever he says it's going to happen, that's how there is no politics behind it whatsoever. And so I started traveling as soon as I got there, but when COVID hit, the last 2 years we couldn't travel. And so we got to go to India, we got to go to South Africa, and I want to go to the west coast of Africa, and I want to go to Ghana. When I stepped on the motherland, I was so inspired, and I stood there and I just took a moment and it just said to myself, probably no one in my family has stepped back on this continent since they left as slaves. So it was just an inspiring moment for me. So traveling is very important. And I don't want to do it by cruise ship, except for I would love to do the Nile.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know they had a cruise ship for the Nile, but that's interesting.
Yeah, they do. And they go all the way down. But I want to travel in the United States. I want to see Niagara Falls. I want to see Grand Canyon. I went to LA a couple of times, but my bucket list consists of traveling and also getting people that I know who haven't traveled to travel as well. Cruise is good, but go to a country and stay there for 5 days. So you can really go eat where the locals eat, go see what the locals see, and go do what they do, that sort of thing. So that is my bucket list consists of places in the world that I want to go with my favorite travel partner, my husband, of course, because I don't have to push my suitcase.
Okay. All right. That is hilarious. Well, I'm sure you'll be able to accomplish everything on your bucket list. It is very similar to mine. Travel is always at the top of the list for me. Also cultural, just getting immersed in culture is huge. I actually used to have a website that was all about exploring cultures on islands around the world. So I can definitely feel, I can definitely feel you on that one. And, you never know, we might cross paths. Maybe, yes. Well, first of all, again, I do want to thank you so much for taking the time out to, talk a little bit more about your background and what inspired you to start the channel, and just to learn a little bit more about what that's like managing that channel now. So for those of you who are listening, Angela Mashelle is an epitome of an age has no limit life. She's changed where she's lived. She's changed. She's actually been open to exploring other careers. She is now an entrepreneur, even though she started her career in nursing. And now she's about to travel and really expand on some of the places that she's visited. So I'm hoping that this also inspires you to do the same. Thank you so much for listening to the Age Has No Limit podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.